of my favorite stories is I was sitting in one of my comfortable chairs one day, and a little girl's over there, and she's got long curly hair, and she's just reading this up a storm on this book. So I went over there and I said, "Could you read a book to me?" And she looked up at me and said, "I don't know how to read."
Welcome to Full Cycle.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Full Cycle. Today we've got a really fun story for you. We're going to dive into the past so that we can look at the future. Yes, that's what we're going to do. And to do that, joining me will be Jim Hohnstein here in just a moment. Jim took a building built in 1907 as a bank and has turned that into a successful laundromat operation. And to get that story and a little bit of what has kept him thinking forward looking, even when he's got this really backward-facing property. We're gonna hear that story from Jim here in just a moment. Jim, welcome to Full Cycle.
Thank you, Matt. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to share with you information about my old bank and how it can produce money. Okay.
Yeah, it's just printing it, right? Banks just print money,
Yeah,
especially when they
yeah.
turn into laundromats, right? That's what people would have you believe. People would
Yes.
say, just make a laundromat; it's going to make you tons of money. But that's not necessarily how it works.
No, it's not. It's not the field of dreams like we
Yeah.
see with baseball.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great analogy. Well, let's start, Jim. Let's go back to the beginning, if you will. Give us a little bit of your story. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to laundry.
Okay. Well, I actually started in the distribution business back in 1972, I think it was. I enjoy the laundry business because I literally learn something new almost on a daily basis. So I have always owned small laundromats, but this one is one that is finally close to my home. I don't have to drive an hour to get to it, which is really disruptive in your social life and family and home life. And so I have about a 15-minute drive, 6 miles away. I can get there. And it was actually a customer of mine that had the store for sale. And for whatever reason, they were a fairly new owner of it. It was originally built in the late 60s from what I've learned by talking to customers. And it was always known as a laundromat that had the coldest soda vending machine in Lafayette, Colorado.
Really?
So
That's the thing, the coldest soda.
it.
All right.
Nobody ever said how good of a laundromat it was, but they liked the cold sodas. So I had an opportunity to buy it. And what intrigued me mostly about it was that it included the water tap. And it became a real bargain for me, but it was an old store, had a lot of old equipment in it. And so instead of just looking at piecing it together, we actually closed it down for a year as I did a fairly major remodel of about 50% of the business. Once I got it remodeled, I rented the other half out. And the story I tell on that is that I would rent it, and usually the first 3 to 4 months, the rent was on time, worked out really well. And then the reality set in that whatever they put in there wasn't working too well. Because we're not on a main street, we're on an original downtown area of Lafayette, which was a coal mining community. So I told my wife, I said, they're not paying their rent. I said, we can do that. So we took a wall out and expanded, and it's made it, I think, just an excellent experience. And I get this feedback from people all the time that they really like, and they're not concerned about the driving time or how close it is to their home. They just like the experience when they come there. I spoke to a lady yesterday, actually, in my store that she drives about 35 miles one way just to get to the laundromat. And in an unattended laundromat, you don't always see those people, but when you do, it's just great to listen to their stories of how dedicated they are to being a part of the Lafayette Econoworks that I have.
What was her thing? Why was she so committed to coming 35 miles one way?
Well, part of it is a lot of people like my ozone system that I have. So I offer it
Okay.
on all my machines at no additional upcharge. And of course, the cost of operating and the cost of purchasing it is factored into my vending prices that I have. So I don't lose money on it, but I just offer it as a convenience. So it's she mentioned that she likes the sanitization that comes from ozone. And even if you wash on hot water, you get a cold water rinse. So everybody gets the opportunity to take advantage of that at my laundromat. Not very many laundromats have ozone systems. They're expensive. They require some maintenance, but I chose to do that, and one of the best investments that I ever made to set myself apart. So this lady I spoke to yesterday feels good about coming the distance to that.
Jim, can you just give folks who are watching or listening just a little bit of the lay of the land of your store? So we know it's
Yeah.
unattended. We know it's in Lafayette, Colorado. Give us kind of the 10,000 foot view of the store.
Okay, so it's a 2,000 square foot freestanding. Actually, it's not freestanding. It attaches to the building next door. So I have their brick wall as one of my walls, which I really like. It still has the original bank vault, kind of like dead center, 16 foot by 16 foot, and it has 24-inch thick brick walls. So the vault itself isn't that big, but it takes up a lot of really valuable space. So whatever 16 times 16 is minus, take that away from 2,000, that's what I have to work with. So you walk in, I have two entrances. I do have a parking lot in the back. I only have 17 washer extractors and 16 dryers, two sizes, 45-pound stacks and 55-pound single pockets. I am in the process of going to be doing some more renovation to put in more big front load machines because that's where everybody is finding the growth to go. I do believe that when I talk to them. So I have tall ceilings that are 11 feet tall, have the original tin ceiling that is rolled tin that they used back then. And so it's kind of a nice feature. I even have some of the old electrical, I don't know what they're called, but they're round and used to wrap wire around them and go to the next one. They're not active at all, but I still have that in the ceiling. I have the uneven floors that you might expect in a building that was built
In
over.
a building, yeah, 1900,
Yeah.
yeah, 1907, yeah.
And it was, from what I can find historically in 1900, the entire block burnt down in a fire. And so
Oh wow.
when they built my business, they just reused kind of the foundation that was there, which is stacked stone. So there's no concrete foundation. So when you pour to modify it to accept front load washer extractors, you have to do a lot of creative shoring and stuff to make sure you're not pushing the stone foundation out into the neighbor's property. So you try to design laundry equipment and folding tables in to fit into a small area, but yet try to make it look as large as you possibly can. And the
Yeah.
tall ceilings definitely help. You know, if I was to encourage anybody to have tall ceilings versus short ceilings, tall ceilings, they just make the volume increase and people feel a lot more comfortable in a confined area than if it's just 9-foot ceilings or 8.5-foot ceilings, which I've been into some laundries that are that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to work with what you have, right? I mean, you've
Exactly.
got a vault. You've got a vault in the middle of your laundromat. So why not take it out? Why keep that piece of that building?
That's an excellent question. Environmentally, I've had it tested, so I could do that, but I should have done that when I first acquired it 15 years ago, because the downtime is estimated to be a minimum of 2 weeks by the time they cut brick, destroy it, the mess it would create. So I just wouldn't be able to be operational. So I use it to my advantage. It's a great storage area that nobody's going to break into, I guess. And so it's just kind of a part that I've worked into the landscape of the interior itself.
Those are the things that people will drive to come and experience, right? Like
Yes.
that, the woman who drives 35 miles one way to use your ozone application, that's one reason, but it's also because she likes it there. Like it's interesting to her, right? I want to talk a little bit about something that I'm hearing a lot of from you, which is this idea of really constant improvement, right? I mean, you don't strike me as the kind of person who's like, great, I renovated this building, now I have a laundromat, and now I'm just going to let it coast. Everything we're talking about, you keep talking about this renovation or this change or this thing that's potential in the future. Why is that important? Why is that interesting to you? Why do you do it that way?
Oh, wow, that's a great question also. I have always enjoyed doing, in the laundry space, doing the newest and greatest. And sometimes that's not the newest, or it's not the greatest thing. It may
It's
be the
nothing, but it's
newest.
newest. It's
Yes,
newest, yeah.
it is. And sometimes things just don't work as well. But I constantly try to, in this store, trying to put together items that are creating that experience for people. And I'm always planning for my next remodel. I never stop thinking about that. I love going to a new fast food restaurant, not for the food, but just to see what the heck they're doing. You know, the lighting, the seating, the colors that they have. It's just a never-ending type scenario. And, you know, like 20 years ago, there was not a community table in a restaurant. There may be in some small ones, but fast food, you know, some of them have that now, and they specialize in certain things. And so you kind of see how other businesses can be successful in their space. And like in my store, I'm kind of wondering here, but I have a front and back entrance, and that's just awesome because years ago I read some articles that what's the number one reason people go to McDonald's is quality. What's the number one reason many people go to a laundromat? It's security. You know, a lot of laundromats, you don't feel safe in them. And so having the glass on both ends is a huge difference. It really is. But I love the change. I love trying new things. And all in all, I'm very pleased with what manufacturers are coming up with now to help with my concept of what an experience will be for people.
I think, Jim, I think a little bit of that probably for you comes from you got to help a lot of people put a lot of different stuff together when you were helping, distribute equipment for them and help them build their thing. So now you get to do it all yourself. And so you're taking, 30 years of pent up energy of like wanting to do it your way. And now you get to do it.
I used to tell people, I'll help you figure out what mix of equipment will work in your store. But you get to get your own palette of colors out and do what you want to do with your store. And nobody ever, in my history, nobody's ever gone into a store and recreated a new store, color for color, layout for layout. But it gave them the inspiration to think, what can I do that's different? Okay? And the underlying part of that is that word of mouth advertising is still the best to me that's out there. Social media, the website, those are very, very important. Reviews are very important. But if I can get you to come to my laundromat and you see enough things that excite you, you're going to tell your friends, your relatives about this laundromat. And that doesn't cost me anything except the colors I chose and the way I laid it out and the number of this I have or I don't have. I've never found a perfect laundromat, location or mix of equipment. There's always something that needs to be done to it. And I encourage people to really think about that all the time and have that ice cream money to, maybe the sign they thought was going to look good doesn't look very good. It's in the wrong place. So instead of leaving it up there because you paid for it, fix it, And I think too, it's the communication. I have an unattended store, So I have to try to do things to keep people to come in and make it clean and everything. And that's kind of a challenge, but innovation of what's available from suppliers, you take a look at it, you consolidate it, you put it together for your comfort, but you're not telling the customer, this is how you have to sit. You're letting them make some decisions. And customers in any type of business feel much better when they feel like they're not being forced to do it this way or do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's even if they don't really have a choice, that illusion of choice makes a big difference in terms of what that feels like when you go into a space, right?
Yeah, yeah, it makes a lot of difference.
There's little things like the chairs aren't bolted down. Like they don't need to move them, but by simply not bolting them down, that customer knows, oh, if I need to like be flexible, I can be flexible.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I do in my laundry that has awesome results is I have a tabletop Miss Pac-Man arcade game, 2 players, and it's free. You don't have to pay to use it. And it's so fun to watch over the years, like an older person like me bringing the grandkids in to teach them how to do it. This just lets them go back and see how Grandpa and Grandma used to do things, I guess. And then I have a gentleman that comes in once a week, and he is a professional at certain games on there, and he loves it. And I have couples that are yelling at each other in very nice ways of who's beating who, and they may have met in an arcade game sometime. But and also the reason I have it free in the town I'm in Lafayette, I have to pay $100 a year to get a permit if I charge for using any kind of a vending machine or arcade game like that. So I save myself $100 and just let people enjoy it. And, so it's kind of fun to do that.
So that's one of the things that I think adds to the experience for you having an unattended store. Talk to me a little bit about the other things that you do to make sure that things still feel like high touch, right? They still feel like things are being taken care of, and it's an attended store, even though you're running unattended.
Right. Well, the ozone is one part of that. It does require some maintenance, but I'm impressed with how consistent that thing just keeps working for me. And people could smell the difference. And in fact, I've even thought of putting some advertising together where people come in and say, what smells? And the other people say, nothing. The drain water is cleaner. And sometimes you get some bad smells even in my laundry. But all in all, it makes your linen smell fresher. And if you happen to take a whiff of it when you're done with your load, you smell a little bit of ozone, but not enough to harm you. So that's one of the things. When you have a nice quality unattended laundromat, I found, and this is by accident, customers help take care of that. I don't expect a customer to clean up anything in my store, but they do. So I leave all the utensils out there for them to do that. And they like to tell you that I swept the floor, okay? And that's because I'll give them a free dry or something, reward for that. I think that the best thing that I do with the system I have is my customer service is as if it was an attended store. And I'll explain that to you. Somebody calls up and, and things break. Let's be honest about it. Whether you're attended or not, sometimes things don't work the way that they're supposed to. And as an owner, you have to accept that. You have to come up with the remedies, how to take care of it. But with my system, somebody calls up and they say, it didn't extract the water out. I can ask them to move to another machine. I'll wash it again, or I can advance it to just extract it. I can mark that machine out of order so it says on the screen out of order so nobody else is messing with it. They weren't happy with how it cleaned. Well, let's put it in a different machine or I'll run another cycle for you at no charge. And so I don't have to drive 15 minutes to go take care of customer service anymore if I'm that close. And I think that that makes people feel good because they did not come to my laundromat to lose money or to have bad results on anything. So I can make it right for them. Okay. I even have it set up on my vending machines, which does take coins and bills. If something didn't work right or they're not happy with it, I can actually, through my bill breaker, give them money back. Totally separate machine. And so very seldom do I have to do these things, but when it happens, people want some kind of an answer to it. They feel very frustrated. Google reviews sometimes are people that are frustrated but totally impressed with the customer service that they're afforded in this store. And even in attended stores, sometimes the customer service is horrible because the attendant doesn't know anything about what's going on, you know? So I think
or maybe doesn't have they're not empowered to make the decision to fix the thing in a way that's going to save that customer relationship.
Oh yeah, and that's a good choice of words, the empowered thing. I think that the best attended laundromats are those that I've gone into and I've talked to an employee, and you kind of wonder, is this the owner?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, one of the things that you touched on there, Jim, that I think is interesting. So you were talking a lot about the technology that's enabling you to, do rewashes and that sort of thing remotely, so you don't have to be at the location.
Yeah. Other things that I do, I have a lot of folding tables. I mean, I have a 2,000 square foot building with 8 folding tables of different heights. I have stools that fit under the taller tables. I have, in my folding area, every table, with the exception of one, has an outlet to plug in their cell phone, computer, USB charging ports on everything. The children's book center, the library, I call it. It's a phenomenal thing to have in a laundry. And again, I have a small kit from the Coin Laundry Association and their association with that system. It works wonderful. And people love to take books home. And, a child is infatuated with whatever book is in front of them. And off track a little bit, one of my favorite stories is I was sitting in one of my comfortable chairs one day, and a little girl's over there, and she's got long curly hair, and she's just reading this up a storm on this book. So I went over there and I said, "Could you read a book to me?" And she looked up at me and said, "I don't know how to read." And I thought, that is so great, because that's what this is about, getting people to have, or young children to have an interest in reading. And it does take the kids out of racing up and down the aisles over to that area. And I'm going to be installing 2 computers for children because most kids now have a computer just to go to school, but it'll just be educational things on there, no access to the internet. It's not for the adults. And I just think that's a nice foundation to have for the children's entertainment. What else do I do? A lot of seating, a lot of tables, what I mentioned. I also offer a lot of different ways to pay. You can use
Oh, okay, yeah. Talk about that a little bit, because that's a hot that can be a hot button issue for folks.
Oh yeah. I have a payment center. You can download an app. You can use the app to start all the machines. You can also get rewards, which I give people for based upon their dollars they spend on the washing machines only. But they can pay with currency at the payment center. They can pay with a credit card. They can put their account on the payment center for people that don't want to have anything to do with it being on their cell phone. So we're about to add where you can just now tap and pay at the machines itself. There's a fee involved with that the customer pays, but there's not much they can't do except to use quarters in my store. And if I'm there, I'll change those out for bills for people. Or sometimes if I don't have enough change, I'll just give them a free wash. And I've started to establish the concept that first time people, and I get new people every day, maybe just one person, it might be 10 people, But I encourage them to test drive my location. Do they like what they see here? Does it feel comfortable when they're done? Did they achieve that good customer, that awesome customer experience? And before they download the app, make sure they want to come back to my store. Not everybody does. But those that like what they have normally will download my app. And now my customer service to them is as good as it possibly can be. People that don't have an app, don't download it. I still give them good customer service, but I can't give them bonus reward points. I can't refund them money instantly, basically, when they have an issue. So there was a time I thought that coins would never go away. I've been now 3 years in a coinless laundry, love it to death. I'm getting older. Carrying $1,000 bag of quarters to the bank was not fun. Banks don't want your coins, so I end up with two banking situations, one for bills, one for deposits of the money. A lot of laundromats have different payment systems based upon the vintage of the equipment. Like they may have put in some new 80-pound machines. Great choice. It'll take cards. It'll take dollar coins if you go to the attendant and ask for them, but they don't have a machine that can dispense them. But then if you have to go back and use a smaller machine that's 20 years old, it only takes quarters. And then if you use the big machines that you can use a credit card on, now you go to the dryers in some of these stores, well, they're coin only. And so that's not a great experience all in all, You got to spend some money to get that experience for people and be creative about it.
Right, and to just put yourself in their shoes, right? Like, stop thinking about it from the perspective of, how much does this cost me, or that might be too expensive to go all the way on that particular improvement. Think about it from the end goal of, am I making a really positive experience for my customer?
Yes.
That's really, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters, because if you mess it up, it's hard to get them back.
Oh, it's very, very difficult. And I think if people that own a laundromat would look at their acquisition costs to get a customer in, it's like any business. It's so valuable once they're in there to retain them. And there's certain payment methods that help that retention that you can't get if you're just a coin store.
Yeah. Jim, I want to switch gears just a little bit, because I know that you have, you've got this building from 1907. You've got a mindset of kind of constant improvement and growth. So what else are you watching then, Jim? What else is in the future? What are you looking at?
Well, I'm looking at, I think that the commercial pickup and delivery is another thing I'm seriously looking at. I don't have the physical space in my laundromat to do fluff and fold laundry where people drop it off. And so pickup and delivery seems to be a good answer for that. I'm going to be doing that in a different way. I'm going to limit myself to the type of items that I do, because when I've done pickup and delivery and fire restoration, there's some things that take a long time to fold and stack back up for people. And I can't make money doing it, okay, at the kind of rate that the market seems to be charging. So my goal is to get to a marketing, not a marketing situation, but an end product that gives customers the kind of value they're looking for and like the wow factor when they get their laundry back. I test a lot of pickup and delivery services for my personal use. I photograph things, I make comments about, I got like 42 text messages that the driver's on his way, he's 4 feet from your steps. I don't care about all that stuff, okay? So I've looked at a lot of things, and the way it's presented back to me is sometimes it's really nice. Most of the time it's kind of like, why even bother? Why fold it? Just throw it in a bag for me, because that's kind of how it looks. Yeah, new stores, you can do so many things right now, and not only change with the equipment and AI as it comes into play, but you can make it so it's a functional business. I think that you need to have up to maybe 20% of anybody's laundromat needs to be for a true on-premise or commercial type laundry, especially if you're doing commercial business. There's a reason why big guys do their things differently. Okay, they may do more rental and stuff. You'd never want to be like the big guy. It'd be crazy to think that. You don't want to be huge. You want to be profitable. But you need to offer these people, whether it's rags for an automotive repair shop, you need to clean those in a commercial machine with programmable cycles, automatic chemical injection into it. You're not going to get that on the washers that you have in your laundromat. You can come close to it, but it's not the same. And so, yeah, you can go in there at a lower price, but why not go in at a higher price? Give them the Saturday delivery if that's what they need, the reason to change. But you need to perform as a commercial type operation, and that could be in the back room. That's one of the things I look at for the trends. I think that's going to change where people need to build that commercial environment in the back. Now it opens up what they can go out and get and successfully process at a higher price. Yeah. Okay, I think that's very important because I don't personally see any AI that truly is into the laundromat space, and I may be missing it because I'm not on top of everything that happens. But AI to me, in a laundromat, is that I walk up the door and my laundry cart sees what I'm bringing in. It figures out what cycles I need, what the best size wash machine is based upon. Let's say you bring in 4 big garbage bags. It understands that that's going to break down to this type of classification. You guide the customer to those wash machines. You still have to start it with cash probably, but maybe the laundry cart has the intelligence to do that. But the best part is when you're done washing, how do you load a dryer? Doing laundry anywhere is an experiment, not experience. It's an experience too, because you're not always washing the same thing over and over. And when you go to a laundromat, you don't really know how much 80 pounds is to fit in that machine. So underloading is a problem. So a robot will take knowledge it has and what it learns in your space to help guide people to where to go. And instead of them waiting for a machine, it can suggest instead of waiting for an 80, let's do 240s or 330s, whatever it may be. And this is the benefit you have. And maybe it has the ability to say, instead of paying this much for the 80 and this much for 330s, we'll change the price so it's just as economical as using one big machine. That to me is artificial intelligence that we don't have yet, but it's going to happen someday.
Well, and Jim, I expect that when we do get there, that you will be among the very first to have that installed.
I will.
Yes.
Yeah.
So fun. Yeah. So fun. Well, Jim, I got one last question for you.
Okay.
I like to kind of make sure that everybody's got one thing that they can take away. So if you had to give somebody some advice, one thing, just one thing that they need to do today that's going to make them better tomorrow, what might that be?
Well, I think I would, between two things. One is plan your exit strategy, but I think the most important thing is plan your next remodel. There's always something you can do or add to an existing laundromat, whether you open it up today or not, or it's 20 or 30 or 40 years old. Start planning a remodel. Look at the technology. What is AI going to bring to your business? And be an early adopter of these kind of things, because sometimes they don't work too well, but most of the time there's a lot of thought, money that's gone into them, especially from a manufacturer. They're not out there to lose by having a faulty product at all. So you got to look at it. You got to go to new fast food restaurants. You never go to a McDonald's restaurant that the franchisee said, I bought all this used equipment from this other McDonald's, and it doesn't look very good, but tape will cover the torn seats. That doesn't happen in real life. Go out there and look what people are doing, the color schemes they have, maybe how their doors work. Are they automatic doors, not automatic doors? Always be looking at what you can change. And so that's planning your next remodel. I think everybody should remodel in 5 to 7 years because things change so much. It could be a new size of equipment. It could be a dryer that uses a heat pump to dry. I don't know. But
Yeah.
you be aware that those are going to happen. And laundromats are just a consolidator of all kinds of things, insurance, equipment, vending prices. So you've got to always be on top of those things to see where you can improve on and make the store truly appealing to people, that they want to come and continue the experience there and tell everybody about it too.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It fits, again, it fits right aligned with how you've kind of lived to this point and where you're going forward. And I think it's really good advice. Be planning for that future, be planning for that exit, and don't get comfortable, right?
No,
don't get comfortable.
no. Yeah, well, there's some
I love it.
sayings
I love
about
it.
when you get comfortable, what happens, but it's very true, and
Yeah.
even happens to me sometimes. I ignore that there needs to be some touch up on paint. You got to look at all that stuff every day, and people see that when they come into a store. And so you have to be ahead of the
Absolutely.
game all the time. Whether you have new equipment or old equipment, you just got to make that place very, very appealing. And you can have fun doing that.
You might as well. You might as well have fun doing it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very true.
That's great. That's great. Jim, hey, I've had just a great time chatting with you here. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with everybody.
Well, glad to do it, Matt. Appreciate the opportunity to do so. And really looking forward to the next chapter in the new publication that's coming out for the Coin Laundry. Based upon my years in the industry, the Coin Laundry Association has always been, it's been the only organization I belong to, actually, but they're so far ahead probably of everybody else. There may be some others that are exceptions to it, with knowledge and helping me, helping new people. It's going to be fun to see what you guys have put together, which I think will be awesome. I really do. And look forward to the first edition coming through the mail.
I can't wait. I can't wait for it to be done and out there. Friends, if you are watching or listening to this, I swear to you, we did not pay Jim for those glowing words and that excitement. But we are very grateful for Jim saying those things and for his involvement with CLA and what he's been doing over the years here. And really for sharing his story. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And most importantly, thank you for giving us a turn.